Well, this is a really complex situation. I guess I wouldn't go so far to say you're wrong, but I think I will provide a couple of different perspectives that might help a little bit, or at least in terms of discussing and analyzing. First of all, with all due respect to public opinion polling, I'm not sure this kind of question is a great one to be making a decision or refereeing based on a C-SPAN poll. And part of that is just because I'm not sure that the average person would understand all the nuances involved, because I think they want transparency. And, you know, if you ask, hey, do you want transparency? Everybody says, yeah, that's a great thing. We want transparency. I think there are a lot of broader issues that don't necessarily surface in just a yes and no question on a poll. But going beyond that, I would want to say that television is a medium of emotion, and television has an entertainment factor that's a little bit crazy as well. And I think that's one of the concerns of many of the Supreme Court justices over the years, is that they don't want the court reduced to emotion or entertainment, because the Supreme Court has to operate in the realm of reason. And this is different than like C-SPAN having congressional hearings or even a White House press conference, that sort of thing. Those are more legislative, deliberative kinds of things. But in the court, you know, we have forensic rhetoric going on, as Aristotle would say. It's for the administration of justice. And I think that's what Supreme Court Justice John Roberts was saying. You know, we don't have oral arguments to show the people how we operate. They have those oral arguments to try to come at constitutional interpretations, which are very hard. And we know that people behave differently when cameras are on them. Anytime you turn a camera on a human being, just an average setting on a street corner or in somebody's house or whatever, they're going to behave differently. And I think that's what the court is concerned about, that somehow the atmosphere is changed when people know they're on camera. And that could include the justices, but I think it also includes the people who are arguing before the justices. And I guess I'd say, just lastly, real quick.
Well, hang on. Let me make one comment. So let me make one comment and then ask a question about what you just said. So my comment is, I've covered trials my whole life, and the argument I hear in every case when they want to keep cameras out is how it's going to impact the lawyers. And in the vast majority of cases, the lawyers forget about the fact that the camera's there. Not in the O.J. Simpson case, where they were well aware of exactly where the camera was at all times. But in just about every other case, it has zero impact on the trial. You would think, in a case where there are no witnesses with the greatest justices in the country, they'd be able to deal with that. But and that was my comment. My question to you was, it does sound like some of what you're saying is a little condescending to the public, right? It's this sense of, you know, they don't really understand. They don't quite get it. And yet the Supreme Court arguments, they're going to be pretty boring in the vast majority of cases, right? They're going to be highly technical. They're going to be references to case law where people won't know what they're talking about. And yet that, to me, doesn't seem like a compelling argument as to why a camera shouldn't be permitted.
Well, you make a great point. We've had cameras in courtrooms for a long time now, and most of those are on the state level, and even, in fact, some experiments in federal appeals courts, including when Samuel Alito was in an appeals court. And I think for the most part, people would say that they have gone well, that they haven't necessarily interfered with the administration of justice. But I would say this, at a certain point, I think we need to have enough respect for the justices to kind of manage their own affairs. I mean, the culture of the court is a very interesting one, and one that I wouldn't pretend to necessarily understand, and I think it's hard for anybody to really understand. But at the moment, it seems like of the 9 justices, a majority of them do not want cameras in the courtroom there. They have very tough jobs with a lot of pressure on them. And when you get right down to it, the hardest work the Supreme Court does is in their private chambers when they're meeting just the 9 of them to vote and have arguments and make decisions on rulings. It's not even during the oral arguments, which then, in a sense, makes that even more theatrical. But, you know, let me just say, you know, I don't want to be condescending to the public. I respect that the public has an interest in this. But I also think that there are a lot of broader issues. And I guess my fallback position is, let's let the justices decide. There will come a time, I'm sure, when the justices will say, we want cameras in our courtroom. But at the moment, I don't think that's there yet. And we know Clarence Thomas would be quite opposed to cameras in the court. And he's the senior member, and I think the rest of the justices are showing him some respect by not going that route now.
My fallback would be, we pay your salaries. But Professor Jeffrey McCall, interesting conversation. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.